All right. Should athletes eat sugar? Most adults say no. Don't drink that Gatorade because it has sugar in it. Oh, those bars, they have too much sugar in it. But athletes, your life isn't average life. You burn serious gas, you burn serious fuel. And sometimes sugar actually is the answer. So today we're going to be diving into one of the most common questions, concerns that I get, especially from parents and coaches. We're going to be breaking it all down, the myths, the truth, and how to use sugar the right way to enhance your performance. So, is sugar your worst enemy or is it a cheat code? Yes, sugar can be a tool, but it's also about how and when you use it. So, a lot of people like to reference Marshawn Lynch or DK Metcalf. Well, what about the candy they eat? It's like they're not just eating Skittles. They're not just eating gummies. They didn't get to the NFL by eating a bunch of Skittles and candy. Their performance is built on a strong foundation. Yeah, there's a genetic piece to that, to their performance. Yes, there is also a training piece of that, but also they're not just eating sugar. They're eating other things. They're doing other things aside from just eating that sugar. And so I want you to understand, number one, you're not DK Metcalf, you're not Marshawn Lynch. But at the same time, there is a time and a place for these things. So I'm not about putting blanket bans on it. You know, sugar has a purpose. But if you have too much of it, which many of you guys are having too much, that is what can lead to inflammation, which basically equals you're sore more often, you are getting injured more often, you're more sluggish, your soreness lasts longer, and you just don't perform as well. And so, you know, we do need energy. So yes, we do need sugar in some element, but we got to understand when to do it. So if you need more energy during doubleheaders, if you're playing both sides of the ball, if you're a soccer basketball player, you're on the field or the court a lot, you're running back and forth, yeah, you're probably going to need some sugar. And when I describe sugar, I'm not just talking about fruit. I'm not just talking about natural sugar. I'm also talking about, hey, maybe you might need some added sugar. And so, you know, sugar is fast fuel. It's quick energy. And so whether it be from fruit like bananas or oranges, so natural sugar, or maybe it is from some added sugar, maybe with some gummies, maybe with a good sports drink or something else, like your body can perform better with some of those quick sugars. Now, I want one of the reasons why added sugars can actually be potentially more beneficial to athletes is because when you look at these sports drinks, when you look at these sports energy products like the energy bars or the gummies, the energy chews, those types of things, what you will see if you look at that ingredients label is you're going to see some form of glucose, so like dextrose, glucose, something like that in the ingredients. You're also going to see fructose. Fructose would be like, literally it would just say fructose, or it'll say honey, fruit juice concentrates, things like that. Glucose is fast absorbing. It's that quick energy. If you're in the hospital and you have low blood sugars, they're going to give you dextrose, which is glucose. It's a quick energy. Fructose is a little bit slower absorption. It takes a little bit more to digest it. And so when you look at a Gatorade, a liquid IV, a drip, any sort of sports drink that has sugar in it, you're going to see one of each of these. You're going to see a glucose, you're going to see fructose type thing. And the reason you see that is because it's going to help you digest it better. It's going to help you with more steady energy versus if you were to eat something that only had fructose in it, so maybe an applesauce or something that's just or honey, like things like that, you may have potentially an upset stomach from certain things that are just heavy in the fructose. And so that's why we want a combination. And that's why some of those sports products that have sugar in it can actually be beneficial. So that is one reason, one useful thing with those added sugars in sports products. But there's also some issues we got to worry about as well. And that's what I mentioned is the inflammation. So your body is under stress. When you train on a daily twice a day, whatever basis, your body's under more stress. It increases inflammation, which can increase your risk for injury, cause other issues. When you are consuming too much sugar, especially at the wrong times, especially when you're not really using it, that increases inflammation. So if you're already inflamed, already stressed, your body's already under this stress, and you throw more fuel on the fire, think about sugar, fried foods, things that increase inflammation like that. Bad sleep increases inflammation. That is like throwing gasoline on a fire. It's just going to get worse. And the reason why you want to care about that is because inflammation in excess increases risk for injury. So if you wonder about some of these athletes who maybe did not eat as great, look at their injury history. So one example I like to give is Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade ate like garbage going to the NBA. You know, he had the talent, he had the work ethic outside of the kitchen to get him to the NBA. But then he was having all of these little issues, a lot of these little injuries, a lot of these just he could not stay healthy. And it's because he's relying on fried foods, just fast food in general, sugar, things like that. Once he started changing that, he had fewer injuries, he was able to stay healthier. He still wasn't healthy, but he got a Hall of Fame career out of it. And this is what we see with a lot of athletes. We see a lot of athletes who do not take care of their recovery right, whether that be the mobility, stretching, those types of things, or whether it be the diet, sleep, hydration. And are not able to play their sport as long as they want to. They get injured in college, they get injured in high school, they can't stay on the field or the court very long, and it's because they treat their bodies like garbage. So remember that. Remember that if you want to perform the way that you should, you got to pay attention to this. You got to address, like, let's not overdo the sugar. There's a time and a place, but let's not overdo it in to the point where you can't even stay on the field or the court because you're just sore all the time, you get injured, all the things. How can we use sugar in a smart way? So if you want consistent energy, if you want energy that keeps you steady throughout the day, throughout your workouts, throughout your games, timing is key. So a lot of athletes, what they do with sugar is they skip breakfast, so then they're tired, and they're like, well, I need energy, so I'm going to have sugar or chips or whatever. And then their energy comes up, and then it comes down. And then maybe they have a decent lunch. Maybe their energy is like, okay, I'm feeling a little good. But then by the end of the school day, energy starts dipping down again. So then what do? They either don't do anything and they work out on an empty stomach, or they go for more sugar. So basically what happens is their energy's up and it's down. It's up and it's down, and it's inconsistent. And they're unable to build the strength that they need. They're unable to get the speed that they're capable of having. They're simply not able to perform the way that they should. And for the athlete who's trying to improve their body composition, whether you're trying to get bigger, stronger, faster, or leaner, stronger, faster, you will never actually be able to do that because you're constantly relying on simple sugars, added sugars, as your source of energy. And so instead of that, we need to work ahead. We need to plan ahead. So let's have a real breakfast. Let's get carbohydrates. Let's get whole grains. Let's get fruits. Let's get more of those slow digesting carbs so that you have more steady energy throughout the day. Instead of having fruit snacks at lunchtime or having whatever candy at lunchtime, let's use that sugar. Let's move that sugar right before your workout. 30 minutes before, maybe even during the workouts, during the games. Let's actually use that quick sugar when it matters. Let's not waste it on you just sitting in class or you sitting at home. Let's use it at a time where you're actually going to use that energy and you're actually going to use it in a way that helps you perform better. So that'd be my first step for you guys is let's just move it to pre-workout. You know, again, whether it be fruit snacks, it could also be natural sugars. It could be applesauce, it could be bananas, oranges, all those types of things could work great. But again, like let's focus on it pre-workout. Let's do it maybe during the workout. So the sports drinks, that's the other thing. A lot of you guys are drinking Gatorades with the sugar at lunchtime. You guys are just sitting there. You guys don't need that sugar. But you do need that sugar during your workouts. You do need those electrolytes during your workouts. So instead of sitting at lunch and having that Gatorade, let's have that Gatorade pre, during, post workout. Let's actually use it at a time where you're actually going to perform better, a time where you're actually going to use that sugar for energy. So if you're going to do it, let's do it during those times. Now, quick side note on those: if you're using the sports drinks, yes, Gatorade, Powerade, they serve their purpose. They check the boxes for sodium and sugar and whatnot. They're not the best quality. They do have things in them that, number one, can increase inflammation, can increase risk for cancer, for example. Mostly the food dyes. Red 40 is known for its impact on attention. So if you have difficulty focusing, you have ADD, ADHD, anything like that, let's cut out the red food dyes, including the red Gatorades, and see what happens. This is where I go to the liquid IVs if you guys need something affordable. If you guys are like, hey, I want to do something even better than that, then you could use a drip drop or a scratch labs or something like that for your hydration. Post workout, potentially you could use some sugar. If your post workout is at 9, 10 o'clock at night, I would not recommend having a bunch of sugar. If it's earlier in the day, yeah, you could probably do like a Dairy Gold Fit chocolate milk or something where it does have some sugars, but also has a protein, also has some slower digesting carbs. You could also just have a meal. You have rice and chicken, you check your carb box with the rice. You could do Greek yogurt parfaits, fruit smoothies. Like, there's a lot of things you could do where, yeah, you might have some quick sugars in there. You might have some added sugars, but most of what you have is more of the protein and the slow digesting carbs. So that's going to be really key that first hour post workout. But what I wanna stress to you guys too is your timing and intensity determine the need. So for hard games and two-a-days, sugar might be a must. It could be from natural sugars, bananas, oranges, things like that. But you also might need some of those quick sugars to keep you going during those long practices, during those long games, so that you can stay steady. Because a lot of you guys crash third, fourth quarters of a game because you guys don't have enough energy, you guys aren't hydrated enough. And so if you want to fix that, number one, start your hydration first thing in the morning. Start your fueling first thing in the morning. But also use that sugar for when it counts, during half times, during those breaks. But I want you guys to understand there's a difference between supplementing with sugar and using sugar as your only source of energy. So as I mentioned earlier, do not use sugar as your only source. Let's make sure, like, let's not skip breakfast. Let's actually get a breakfast. Let's not do cereal for breakfast. Actually, I was just asked this out of practice: is cereal breakfast? I'm like, it's a snack. It's a pre-workout breakfast. It's not a real breakfast. Because it's not going to give you that sustained energy. It's not going to give you the fuel, all the protein, all the things that you need. So let's get a real breakfast. Let's get a real, lunch and all those things. And let's use that sugar strategically during your workouts, around your workouts, and not use it as this constant crutch, at school, whatever, when your energy dips, when you're doing nothing. So use it strategically. When we talk about cravings, a lot of athletes are like, well, I'm addicted to sugar. Or their parents will say, well, he's addicted to sugar. She's addicted to sugar. Are you actually addicted to sugar, or are you simply low on carbs? Because most athletes aren't addicted, they're just underfueled. You guys are not getting enough carbs throughout the day, and that's why you guys are constantly gravitating towards sugar. Sugar cravings equal carb deficiency most of the time. So that's why I stress to you guys, add more complex carbs, add more oats, fruits, other whole grains, other things that are going to give you that can sustain the energy throughout the day. Now, what if you want to cut sugar? The easiest way to cut sugar is to stop trying to cut it. Most people are trying to quit sugar without a system in place. You gotta address the sugar problem. You gotta address, what the actual core issue is, which is you are not getting enough carbs. So we gotta treat it like subtraction by addition. If you want to reduce the amount of sugar that you're having, then you need to increase the amount of carbs that you're having. You need to make sure that you're having more fruits, whole grains, all those things pre-workout in the mornings, throughout the day, with your protein, with your other things, so that you're actually getting the energy you need. When you get the energy you need, you're going to naturally not crave sugar as much. So build a solid breakfast, build a solid lunch, have snacks in between, eat every 3 to 4 hours, and you will not crave sugar as much. Again, subtraction by addition. And the thing that I want to stress with this too is like a lot of people are like, well, food requires like willpower. It's like, yeah, there's a willpower piece. There's also a what's more important to you. Is eating that comfort food more important than your goals? If you want to play college sports, is your desire to play college sports more important than the discomfort of eating better foods? And I should say the initial discomfort, because here's the deal. Once you get into that routine, once you make a new normal for yourself, it ain't a big deal. I was a sugar kid. I was a kid that loved sweets. I don't crave those things anymore. I prefer the meals that I'm having, which is like, eggs and protein pancakes, or eggs and toast, or, like beans and rice and chicken and like different things like that. Like I crave those things more because number one, you get used to it. Number two, my goals, what I want is more important than the sugar and some of those things. Like, it's just not that big of a deal for me. When I work with my athletes, similar to what I did with myself, is I'm not trying to make you quit sugar cold turkey. I'm not trying to make you go like completely 180, change your nutrition like that. I want you to build habits. I want you to build routines. And I want to focus on the things that are going to impact you the most, the things that are going to move your needle the most. So just an example here. So one of the athletes I was working with, he ate a lot of junk. He was like, family's like, okay, he's a very picky eater, very difficult, very narrow choices that he would choose from. When I got his food log, he's having fruit snacks at lunch, he's having pizza or chicken strip or whatever at like dinner time. Like there was no solid balance to it. It looked a lot like what I ate as a kid, to be honest. I didn't go, you got to cut out all the sugar. I said, let's move that sugar to your workouts. As I mentioned earlier, let's move that sugar where you're actually going to use it. I'm not going to make you give it up right now. And then we're going to shift it and say, let's focus more on the rest of the meals. Let's get a good breakfast routine going. Let's improve that dinner so you're not having to rely on pizza all the time. Because the issue with him constantly going for the pizza and those other things was, number one, a matter of convenience, but number two, a matter of, like I said, deficiency. He was not getting enough energy for his day. So post workout, he was so drained that he just wanted the easiest calories possible. That's why we go for the McDonald's. That's why we go for the fast food, is because we want the easiest calories possible. So to fix that, we make a plan. We build ahead of time. We make sure that, hey, there's already breakfast made. All I got to do is heat it up or scoop it, basically. Like, I just got to eat it. I make sure I have the lunch system. I have all those things so that it just requires less effort, which ultimately leads to me being more compliant, me actually doing the things that I said I was going to do. And that in turn helps you become a better athlete, helps you really reach your goals. And naturally, you're going to eat less of the sugar. You're going to eat less of the other things because you're focusing on adding the things that are going to enhance your performance. And once you do that and you see the improvements, the rest doesn't matter. So it's all about those mindset shifts. Now, do you want to be the best athlete you can be? Do you want to unlock your full potential? If so, when it comes to nutrition, think about it like a weighted vest. Imagine you are on the field right now, or you're in the court right now, and you're playing against this other team, and you are doing that while wearing a 50-pound vest. Are you going to perform as well? Probably not. If that vest is the same, like it looks just like your shirt, and you don't even like it, just like it, there's the weight, but you're not even aware that it's like 50 pounds. Like but you know that you're not performing the way you should. That's nutrition. You may not realize how much nutrition is impacting your performance, but it is. It is that 50-pound vest. It's like you running up a sandy hill instead of running across a flat field or a flat court. You gotta understand, like, nutrition will be your difference maker. And so if you're constantly shoving down the sugar, you're constantly shoving down the fried foods, you will not be able to perform the way that you're capable of. You will be constantly carrying this weighted vest on when you could be just not carrying that weighted vest, that 50-pound vest, and you could be running at the speed that you're capable of. You could be blocking, you could be catching, you could be doing all the things that you are capable of at the level that you're capable of. So my question to you is, do you want to unlock your full potential? If you do, great. Take nutrition seriously. Stop relying on sugar, chips, all the things, and use it as a tool rather than as a crutch. Now, you guys probably know somebody who is doing these things, who is relying on the sugar, relying on the chips as a source of energy all throughout the day rather than using it as a tool. You guys probably have friends who are skipping breakfast, skipping lunch, doing all the things. And I know that because every single time I speak to a school or a team, 50% of them are not eating breakfast. So, what you guys got to do is share this with them. If you want your team to play to the level that they're capable of, if you want to win the championships, if you want to, reach your potential as a team, then you got to share this with them. You got to make sure that they are getting what they need, so that they can perform the way that they should, because they don't know any better. You can't improve, just like you didn't know about me at some point. You can't improve unless you know better. If you don't know any better, then you can't improve. So send this to them. Make sure that you are elevating your team's performance, not just your own, and you're going to be much happier. You're going to perform, your team's going to play way better. So make sure you share this with them. If you guys find this useful, if you guys find this specific podcast useful, I'd really appreciate if you guys put a review in on Spotify, Apple, whatever you're listening to this on, so that more athletes can reach their potential as well. My goal is to impact 1 million youth lives. The only way I can do that is by reaching more youth lives. So if you guys found this useful, you guys know somebody that needs to hear this, share it with them and leave that review. Otherwise, as always, keep striving for greatness.